Let's be real, rectangle cards, classic but kinda predictable. You make them, you give them, and let's be honest, they probably end up with a stack like all the others, or end up in the trash. But what if your cards were so unique, so fun, that people couldn't help but display them? Picture a cupcake-shaped birthday card, a coffee cup invitation, a little housewarming card shaped like an actual house. Trust me, once you start making shaped cards, there's no going back. And today I'm going to show you how to make them with and without specialty dies. So no matter what supplies you have, you can make these. Let's jump in. All right, let's learn how to create this card with and without specialty dies. I'm going to show you the absolute, if you have no supplies, towards the end of the video. I'm going to show you some that you probably have certain supplies that you can make in your stash first. So I'm going to get started with a card base. Now the card base needs to be larger than your die that you're going to be cutting. Also, you have to keep in mind what kind of envelopes do you have in your stash so that you aren't scrambling for an envelope later, or you have to maybe make a handmade one. I hate making handmade envelopes. I don't know about you, but of course you can do that. So I'm grabbing this, I'm folding it in half, and I'm gonna grab a die that is just a regular butterfly die. There are plenty of dies on the market for specialty shaped cards, but you don't need those. So grab a die, and then all you're going to do is hang the die off the edge ever so slightly. Just remember, the area that is hanging off of your base is the area that's going to be your fold. So you do want it to be large enough so that the card remains stable. You can see that I don't have a lot of space, but it will work. So I'm going to grab this, stick it into my machine, and die cut it. I did decide to use my Sizzix electric die cutting machine because I'm cutting through the entire card base rather than just one sheet of cardstock, which of course can be a little bit thicker. So you have to kind of experiment with card weights and things like that. I used 80-pound Nina Solar white cardstock, and I ran it through my electric die cutting machine. Keep in mind, if you're using tape to keep it in place, because it is a thick sandwich going through your die, it may take a bit to get that tape off. And now you can see you have a really cool card base that is butterfly shaped. How fun is that? So you can decorate the card, of course, at this point, however you like it. But you can go ahead and use that butterfly die. Is that right, little baby Jay? You can use that die, or you can use other dies in the set, obviously, or any dies in your stash to decorate the card. You may, of course, have to fiddle around and maybe trim a few things here and there so that everything fits well, but overall, it's easy to do. These cards can be so fun and unique, and you can decorate them to your heart's desire, leaving plenty of room for your own creativity. If you would like the full details on how to decorate this card, this is an exclusive video for my Justine Hovey VIP community. I seriously love every detail on it. Now, as I said before, there are specialty dies that are out there that do allow you to create really great cards, and they create the shape die for you. I like to have a certain amount in my stash and, just some basic shapes that I know I can use over and over again. And one of them is an envelope. Envelopes are really great to create, whether you have the die or you just make it yourself. It's easy to make an envelope. You can easily YouTube on how to do that. But I like to create these for all my little die cuts or little stamped images and things like that, and just fill up the envelope, and it just creates something that's super fun that isn't a really awkward shape, and you can still easily fit into an envelope. So this is another idea on what you can use that is an actual specialty die, and I have the full video tutorial linked below in the video description if you want to watch it on this one. This is an older card that I've created, but let's move on to something newer. All right, like I mentioned before, you have to be careful of your paper size because your die has to be able to cut through 2 sheets of cardstock essentially when your card base is folded. So how do you get around that if that's the case? I'm going to use this large house die to create a housewarming card, and I'm going to show you what to do if you need a thicker card base, but your die doesn't cut all the way through. So I'm going to cut, remember we talked earlier about the fact that you need a larger area of the fold so that your card remains stable and doesn't fall apart. Thank you for your contribution. So I'm going to make a top folding card rather than one that opens from the side, just because the roof is a completely flat line, whereas the side has the roof and the like the jetted out roof, and therefore it would only be able to really just be attached there, and that wouldn't be good. So I made 4¼ by 11 inches, scored at 5½ inches, and I'm placing my die above the fold line using some tape to keep it in place. So I'm only going to be cutting one side in the house shape. So I'm hanging it off the edge, making sure that the crease, the bone folded scored line, is hanging off of my plates. So I don't want it to be cut at all. It's literally hanging outside of the die sandwich as it's going through my machine. And this way, it's just going to cut out the front panel and not the back. And you can, of course, leave it like this, meaning that your card would have a flap that is a house shape, and the back of the card would be a standard A2 size rectangle. That would look fine as well. You could use some colored paper to back it up, like maybe some light blue cardstock to represent a blue sky behind the house. But I don't want that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just, first of all, trim what is left here. That's often the case, is that you're going to have a little bit to trim because your die doesn't cut all the way to the crease, but literally it's just a tiny little area that you have to cut of the excess paper. And then what you can do while you have your scissors out is you can fold the base, because it's not a complicated shape at all. I wouldn't recommend doing this for circles though, because that would be kind of impossible to make look nice, but you can easily just trim along the cardstock. So just trim along the outline of the die that you just created, and then you have a shaped card. So now it solves your problem of your cardstock being too thick for the die. I'm not going to show the process of making this house card because literally it's just die cutting and gluing. All the dies come with the set, but you can see you could add greenery, you could add wreaths, you could add all sorts of things. Now, I did promise to show you what to do if you don't have specialty dies. And I don't understand. It is 2025. We have robots that can run, wash your dishes. We have artificial intelligence that can write your emails for you, but printers just don't work when they need to work. So what you can do, and what I would recommend doing, is just print out a basic shape off of your computer. Easter's coming up, so I just chose a bunny rabbit, but you can pick out any outline you want of any shape, a coffee cup, anything, and just cut it out of your printer paper. And if you hand draw it, you can hand draw it, but it just might not be a symmetrical card. Like my bunny here is definitely not super symmetrical, but I wanted to show you regardless. If you don't have a printer, kids' coloring books can be really good for something like this because they have really large images. You just need the outline. You don't need any of the details in the center. So you can cut your bunny, in this case, or any shape that you like, and it's going to be the same concept. But instead of using a die, you're going to use your copy paper here that you've cut out as a tracing paper for your cardstock. So you're going to create a card base, again, that is slightly larger than the thing that you're cutting out. So in this case, this is super huge. It's 8½ by 11. I'm scoring it at 5½ inches to make a massive card here because my bunny's massive, but I wanted to make it nice and big so you could easily see how to do it. And again, just like all the other cards, I'm placing my shape so that it's ever so slightly off of the cardstock. You could also place it like this, so that the head and the side are connected. And then I'm just going to grab a pen. I would recommend a pencil in this case so that you can erase any lines if you happen to go underneath. And just trace your card and cut it out. And there you will have exactly what you need to create a shaped card. The only thing I would recommend not forgetting is here you can see that I am cutting out the bunny, but you have to cut out any sort of shapes that are on the side as well that kind of indent into the card to make it look a little bit more realistic. And now I have a bunny card. Like, how cute is that? For a hand-drawn image, I think it looks pretty decent. And that's it. Now you have everything to make jaw-dropping cards. So tell me, which shape are you going to try first? Let me know in the comments. And if you want even more die cutting tricks, check out this video.